yogic, yogic, yogic.
Yeah. What it do, babes? It's your girl, Miss KK, aka Kim Sani Koza, coming to you live. Thank you so much for tuning in to my channel. If you're brand new, welcome, guys. On this space, we really just chat about adulting, the ins and the outs, the ups and the downs, romances, finances, life skills, motivation. Adulting, it's a crazy algorithm that a lot of people just don't get exposed to, and now we're figuring it out together. Get me? So if this stuff that intrigues you, please do consider going down below, making that red button glow, subscribe, and so I can keep entertaining you and we can keep rocking together. You know what to do. Turn that red button blue. Like it. Without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Oh, today, guys, I wanted to talk about, the idea of taking a gap year, because quite honestly speaking, coming from, just a society that really pushes the agenda of being on the go, you've got to go to school, go primary, get to high school. Once you're in high school, attain brilliant grades so that you can get into a good university. Once you're at a good university, you have to perform, you have to do well. Then once you get there, so that you can apply for a job, get a good job, okay? Then once you get a job, you can get a good income, live a good life. Now, there's nothing wrong with that lifestyle. Some people actually are saying, sure, that's a lifestyle for them. No, that's not for them. And that's the non-conventional side of things. And personally speaking, from as a black young woman in this country of South A, things like gap years are a little bit like, gap year, really? Ufuna uthatha break, ifundoni, yayibo ufundini, yayibo ixesha alikho. It's that type of thing. And I think that in many black households, the idea of taking a gap year is really, it's like taboo, in black households, and I think in Asian households as well. That's a bit of a foreign concept, especially, in the country of South Africa. I think it's just the idea of having come from where we come from. Now, for those of you who don't know, South Africa experienced apartheid, okay? And that was a really, really disgusting, horrific, revolting time, which will never, ever happen again. No ways! Our ancestors fought too hard for that, okay? So basically, apartheid just deprived many black people of opportunities to learn, to grow, and just expand themselves and lift themselves out of a situation of poverty. So tricky, because, and I think it's a space of, parents come from a place of defense because they just want the best for their kids. When you say, Mom, Dad, I think I want to take a gap year, what are they hearing? Yeah, no, the whole year. That's what they're hearing, when it's really nothing like that. Like, literally, no. The thing is, with a gap year, it's actually just a time period for yourself, getting to know yourself, getting to really grow and tap into your aspect of yourself that you didn't actually get to tap into whilst growing up, whilst in conventional school, or in whatever space that you were in, And so I think that's also, it kind of gets lost in the woodworks, right? So quite honestly speaking, I recommend taking a gap year, mate, because, okay, coming from let me tell you about my story, right? So I came from high school. I went to a private high school, and those of you who went to private schools, like the pressures. In fact, high school in general is a really, really hectic place, especially matric. There's just so much at stake. Why are you hearing? You need to pass. You need to get into good varsity. You need to get good marks. You have to get distinctions. Just say, oh my goodness. And it's like, oh my days. I'm just trying to take care of myself, bro. I'm just running on 2 hours of sleep, bro. You understand? Like, mentally, I'm dying out, okay? So I think in the trick, I was just going through a space of intense exhaustion, and I was avoiding a thing of getting into varsity with that same exhaustion, if you know what I'm saying, because varsity and high school have different levels of pressures, different levels of intensity. They're both crazy intense, but varsity, high school as fun. You understand? So it's just like, bro, where would you rather jeopardize yourself, you know? There are some people who can really say, okay, sharp, go to school, go to high school, jump straight to varsity. There's some people who can rock that thing and they're grand. But the scenes that go behind closed doors, you don't know what happens, bro. And I've seen it happen to so many of my varsity peers, people I went to high school with. Yeah, especially first year. First year is crazy, man. It's mad. It's crazy things, you know. So, you know, the thing of, you know, taking a degree on, it's a lot, mate. That thing called the degree, that piece of paper that guarantees you a job, that thing's a lot. To be fair, it's becoming a bit redundant, but that's a chat for another video. You know, the protocols and the ways of getting a degree, man, it's hard. You know, especially when you're compromised into going into varsity, because some people are actually forced into going into varsity. It's something that they have got to do. It's against their will. You know, their parents are saying, okay, I'm paying for this and this and this. You have to get this degree, whether you like it or not. You know, so some people are unfortunately forced into a situation where they've got to study something that they don't even like, because their parents are funding their education for the hope of a better future, you know. And I say it like this because it's like, in this day and age, can a degree really guarantee you a job in an economy like South Africa's? I won't lie to you, I won't lie to you, it's a bit of a tricky situation. But yeah, like I said, we'll have a conversation about that another day. But anyways, basically guys, I recommend taking a gap year, right? Firstly, because it's a great time for you to get in touch with you. It's a great time for self-awareness, right? You get to learn more about yourself, it's more time to tap into your gifts, your abilities, things that you weren't able to do at school, because high school is great, right? In the sense that, you know, you tap into your academic side, your maybe cultural side. If some of us, you know, I had extracurricular activities and we were offered such things, and you get to tap into your sporty side, which is great, and I was able to do that. But what about the more practical aspect of things in life that we don't actually get taught in school? Things like finances, things like tax, things like entrepreneurship, things like business skills, things like, you know, just HR essentials that are going to take you and move you forward in the working world, in the professional world, you know. So for me, I'm very grateful that I did, because I was able to tap into those sides of myself that I felt like, and I knew in the back of my mind I had those abilities, because they kind of came through in school. But it was also a thing of like, okay, it's one thing to think about those abilities or to recognize the talents, but let's put it to work, you know. And so I did. I was very fortunate enough that, you know, my mom was very supportive of me in taking a gap year, and quite honestly speaking, I was able to really just tap into business, to tap into, you know, the economy as a young person. So in my gap year, yeah, this is also something that people miss. There's a huge misconception about gap years. You need to have a plan, bro. We plan my big corner indoor, then indoor my bene plan. I know best waste a year of your life. Nah, dude, it's not even like that. You know, there's so many things that you can do. You can go au pair, you can go backpacking, you can travel the world, you can become a camp counselor, whether it's overseas or even here in South Africa. There's so many camps that have such programs. You can become a stoogie, right, for different high schools. There's so many different things. You can even say, you know, working for a family or whatever, dude. There's just so many opportunities out there, you know, and it's just a matter of looking. Like, literally, you just got to look for them, because the opportunities are there. In my case, I decided that, nah man, I want to see what business is saying, what is the entrepreneurship saying. So I ended up working in a store, a jewelry store, in Rosebank. It's called Jules and James. And yeah, man, it was really, really lovely. I got to meet some great people, and I learned some incredible business skills. You know, being able to step into that environment as a newbie. So basically my journey went a little bit like this. I was a junior little shop assistant. I started off as, and then, you know, fate just took over, and then I worked my way up and I became, you know, the manager of the store. You know, so learning, you know, the ins and the outs of business, from inventory, you know, handling the ins and the outs, stock taking, things like customer services, things like, you know, the lingo, professional jargon, things like invoices, babe, cashing up, you know, sending products to and from different stores, deliveries. Oh my word. And also as manager, I had to be responsible for the store. Like, at that stage I could say the store's mine, in the sense that I was the one coming into the store, opening it up, and then closing it up again. Like, that's how intense it was, bro. There were times where I was in the store by myself. I mean, it's a cute little store, but like having a whole entire store to yourself. Do you understand the pressure, Gaga? It's a lot. And yeah, I was really thrown into the deep end in that sense. But I handled it well, you know, and I think that I grew in a different side of myself, if that makes sense. I was able to tap into different aspects of myself that I didn't know that I had. So yeah, man, like, I'm really, really grateful that I did take that break, because after, you know, taking the gap year and learning and gaining work experience, which is something that employers really, really praise, and it's such a sought after trait to have for future candidates of employment, you know. So you know, I ticked many boxes at once in that little span of time in the year of 2019. Shout out to the gap year. So yeah, I really do think that it's something that people should really consider, dude, because even that, I took a break off from conventional academics and conventional learning, to do something else, to do something completely, totally different that I probably would have never ever done had I just jumped straight into Varsity, you know. And I came, and now I'm in Varsity, so I stepped into the Varsity space with a clear mind, clear head space, and really a refreshed vision and refreshed focused. Not to say that I wasn't focused, you know, from the jump. I've always been a very focused and driven person, but it's a thing of like, okay, when you're tired and when you're really feeling like burned out, it's very hard to act on those ambitions. So I'm very grateful that I took that break, because there was a refined focus that I was able to step into Varsity with. And so I found that I did a lot better. I interacted with my peers a lot better, and everything was just really like refined and really, it was a holistically refined space that I found myself in. So that it's not something that many people have the privilege of saying, yeah, okay, cool, I want to take a gap year, because people come from different circumstances. I understand, best believe, but I do think that it's something that needs to be destigmatized, man. There's such a negative stigma attached to taking a gap year, but it all comes from a place of fear, of misunderstanding, misconception. Bro, tata gap year, mate. Tata a gap year. Because I promise you, dude, like, it's just, it's such a clean experience, man. If you have the opportunity to take a gap year, do it. By all means, do it. Literally push yourself. Get out your comfort zone, mate. Because I promise you, no one's going to be pushing you or, you know, cheering for you when you leave high school. Like, it's really you on your ones. You have to be doing things on your own. And that's the hard thing about adulting, mate. I think it's this thing of constantly being accountable for yourself. I mean, for me, that's something that just kind of comes naturally, but for most people, it's something that they kind of get to learn within Varsity, which is fine. because asikhulu ngokufana and asidalwanga ngokufana essentially, which is chilled, it's fine. But you know, I think it is something that needs to be probed more into society, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, take a gap year. You'll thank yourself. Rather step into a new space, new environment, that being varsity, with a clear head, fresh perspective, because that really, really makes or breaks your experience, bro. I promise you, the thing is, varsity is so nice, but it's also extremely difficult. It's extremely hard, you know, and you can't say, you know, certain degrees are better than others, because they all have their levels of difficulties. It's just that you get stretched differently. And you know, varsity is really a space that you want to be able to absorb and expand and grow your mind as best as possible. And it's a bit tricky to do that when you're coming from a space of burnout, you know, which was what I was experiencing personally. I knew that if I had stepped into varsity in that headspace, it would have been over. Would have been so late for me personally. So I knew that I had to just take a break, take a pause, and jump into it, you know. So yeah, guys, these are just, you know, tips zami, like from my experiences and that sort of thing. I'd love to hear from you guys. Have you taken a gap year? Is it something that you're considering doing? Are your parents for it, against it? Are you for it? Are you against it? I'd love to know. I'd love to engage with you. Please go down below, put out your thoughts, let me know. I'm really keen to engage and see where your guys' headspace is at. And yeah, do you agree? Do you disagree? I don't know. Let's chat, babes. So yeah, yella. Anyways, that will be all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to go down below, make that red button glow, subscribe, and so that I can keep rocking with you. You know what to do. Turn that gray button blue. Like it. And until next time, stay fresh, stay fly. See ya. Mwah!